Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour, brought to you by the Sky Lounge in Tea, XL Chiropractic, and Quality Nails. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations and has been recognized by the Sioux Falls Stage Awards with a special distinction for promoting the arts. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Thank you, Zach Dresch. Appreciate the great introduction. I am Dave Holly. Welcome to the show. You are going to be treated to some wonderful entertainers today as we speak with Jamie Tharney, a wonderful female comic here in the Sioux Empire and beyond now. Lots of stuff to talk about with her, including professional wrestling. And then, later on in the show, Elisabeth Hunstad, who is she is the original friend of the show. And to help me celebrate something, she brought a scratch ticket for me. And we'll talk about that in just a moment because it ties into this. Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. Oh, and you don't necessarily have to toast this time, but I'm going to lift my usual cocktail, Jasper Newton, Jack Daniels, Diet Coke, and a lime, to all of you. This past week, I knew I was getting close. We passed 5,000 downloads of this show on the Dave Holly Hour on Podbean. Woo! Thank you, everybody. What a pleasure it has been. Here we are. This is episode 87. Starting the countdown, really, to episode 100, which is going to be very near the second anniversary of the show. But I realize that in the larger scheme of things, you really need like 1,000 downloads per episode to be able to make any money from any national advertisers and so forth. But that's not why I started it. But I am still thankful for the 5,000 downloads we've had because that's just, the tip of the iceberg. That's on one particular platform. It doesn't take into account all the people that just simply stream it instead of downloading it. And there's also just so many things that are associated with it that are great. And think of the people that maybe didn't know a lot about the arts and entertainment community and how tight-knit it is around the Sioux Falls area. So it's been fun to provide that for you. So I thank you and toast to you for 5,000 downloads and you being the success of this show, not me. Just like my style of doing an interview, I always say it's a conversation because I am not a hard-hitting interviewer. I would rather have my guest speak 80% of the time and me 20% of the time instead of the opposite way around. So I thank you. The Weekend Eve Toast has been brought to you by Ale Hop Brewery Tours, a great way to hop from microbrew to microbrew in Sioux Falls. Book a private 4, 5, or 6-hour tour. You're in charge of the 8 local breweries that you get to choose to go to, but leave the driving to Ale Hop. Plus, the van looks pretty groovy. Todd M. says, it was a great way to spend the evening with my friends. He agrees the van is really cool, and it's nice to face each other while sitting in it. Book your private tour on alehopbrewerytours.com. Tuesday through Thursday tours start at 3, Friday at 5, Saturday and Sunday tours as early as noon. If you don't mind sharing a ride, hop on one of their public tours. For more info, call 605-777-2183. Ale Hop Brewery Tours, where micro fans meet micro brews. Book a tour in July on alehopbrewerytours.com and save 10%. Use the promo code 10July. Now, one of the other things that we always do in the beginning of the show is give a shout-out that we like to call Mention. Something that made me smile in the past week. I've mentioned it often. My wife and I love PDAs, public displays of affection. Last weekend, we were at Wood Grain Brewery on a Saturday night. That might have been Friday night, actually, and it had been warm and everything, but we found a little shady spot outside while Zach Dresch and Nick Burke were playing, and said hello to them before they started their set, and then sat behind a couple, and the gal turned around and she says, you must know them fairly well. And, of course, the standard joke came out without her knowing. She says, is that your son? Because Zach and I hug. He's a very, very, very dear friend. And it's not the first time that Carrie and I have been thought of to be his parents. Long story that someday we'll get into more, probably the next time Zach is on the show. Just started having a nice conversation with this couple. They're from the Illinois area. They've got an RV, and they've decided that they were making their way out west. And they ended up stopping in Sioux Falls, having a great time, and just, having some good conversation with them about different things. And then they up and left, and they were headed to their next fun spot, and they walked away hand in hand. And these are people of my ilk, age-wise. Just a great thing to see. So, the couple from Illinois that was showing public displays of affection, congratulations. You are this week's coveted winner of the Dave Holly Hour Honorable Mention. All right, you will be applauding and you will be cheering when you hear our guests today, which include Elisabeth Hunstad, a wonderful musician and singer, and we talk to her later in the show, but coming up in just a moment, a wonderful female comic that is becoming a great friend, Jamie Tharney, on the Dave Holly Hour.
Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elisabeth Hunstad, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. And a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota.
Welcome back, everybody. Such a fun time here in the big metropolitan area as we talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment. For those that might be listening from afar or just kind of picked this up and said, hey, what's this podcast about? Well, we'd like to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment. And arts and entertainment, the Sioux Empire, that means, if you're not familiar geographically, basically the Sioux Falls metro area, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, smack dab middle of the country where interstates I-29 and 90 converge. And I tell you what, it's been just a great convergence of comedy that we've had of late. And it's growing and expanding, and one of the women behind it, especially the growth of women's comedy, Jamie Tharney. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great to have you back. In fact, we've got a lot to touch on today. First, we're going to talk about comedy again.
Right.
Because you've pretty well been setting the Midwest on fire with it, and a few other places as well. Additionally, you have started a podcast. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
And then I see these pictures from time to time about art. So we're going to talk three different things today.
Okay.
All right, but we'll start off with the comedy.
Sure.
And you've been here a few years now, and I think we kind of caught you like when you first came and saw you at one of the open mics, and I was like, okay, kind of cool, and then it's been fun to watch you progress and to see where you are now. And you've been doing some headlining and some feature work and so forth. So it's been a good ride. You seem to be not on a roller coaster, but just on this great uphill climb right now. How's it feel for you?
It's crazy. It feels awesome. First of all, it feels great. But then, I have a little bit of imposter syndrome. So I'm like, am I really that funny? Are people really digging it that much? But then I do a show and then I talk to people afterwards and I'm like, yeah, people can relate to these silly stories I tell. So that it feels really good. And it feels really good that doing the work of asking if I can be on a show and reaching out to people is actually working. It doesn't work all the time, but it's that law of numbers. You just got to put yourself out
exactly.
there.
And did you realize you were going to be marketing yourself so much when you started this?
No, and it feels odd. It's a little uncomfortable at times. You feel like a little bit of a narcissist, but at the same time, like, how are people going to know about you or about where to see you and catch your silly stories unless you put yourself out there,
Yeah, if you don't toot your own horn, who's going to listen? Yeah.
Right.
But apparently people have been listening because you've been doing quite a bit of traveling for your comedy of late.
I have.
Yeah. Tell us about that. What's been going
on? Most recently, I went to Kansas City. I did 2 shows. I did actually 3 shows there. Was there for 2 days, 2 nights, 2 days. And I headlined at Harley's Hideaway. And then I headlined at Legends Comedy Club in Kansas City. And those were both really good shows. Legends wasn't as crowded as we expected, but we just worked with it, and we had a blast doing a show for those bartenders.
And of course, the big thing when you go to Kansas City, did you have some ribs?
I did.
Arthur Bryant's?
It's so good.
Did you get to Arthur Bryant's?
I did.
Yes.
The
one downtown. The
Yeah.
old. That's one of my favorite stories of all
great.
time. I love that place.
I roomed with a girl who was doing the show, who was featuring for me on those shows, and we had a blast together. She was so much fun. And we went to the art museum there in Kansas City, and
Excellent.
it just blew our minds. It has such amazing pieces of art. We saw Monet's water lilies like in front of our faces. I never thought I'd ever get to see that.
No kidding.
In real life. And it was so cool. Yeah.
All right. So where else? Kansas City. I
Yeah.
believe you've been down like Kentucky area too.
Oh, yeah, we did. I flew down to Kentucky to do an appearance on a reality show.
No kidding.
Yeah, but I'm not allowed to talk about it until it comes out in September.
Really?
On CBS.
Okay, well, you'll be back in September, apparently.
Yeah.
On CBS, even.
Yeah,
We're
it's
talking a network. We're
a
not talking
nationally
like
syndicated show,
a channel 439 cable station or anything.
No, it's on a real show, yeah.
Awesome.
So I have like
Congrats.
an IMDb, TV credit now, which is kind of cool.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Plus, think of the promotion for the intro then with comedy.
Right.
Once we get around to the time we can talk about it.
Right.
And as featured on on CBS.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
man, that's great.
It'll be fun.
You keeping a diary or a journal of all this?
Well, I actually do kind of write. I like to write funny essays, kind of like David Sedaris style.
Okay.
And so I've been working on that lately, putting sort of my stories into little essays, little like 800-word little missives about stuff that's happened to me or funny things or something I've thought about. And maybe one day I'll have enough for like a whole book, but not yet.
What's been one of the funniest things that's happened to you on the road?
Oh, gosh. Probably we went, in Kansas City, before our show at Legends, we went to this Chinese restaurant and we were looking at the reviews. And every bad review, the owner of the restaurant would clap right back in his broken English. And so the girl I was rooming with, and we're in line waiting to go in, looking at the reviews to make sure we really want to eat there. And we're just dying laughing at these reviews. Like somebody would say, oh, their orange chicken wasn't the right color or whatever. And then the owner would comment right back, well, what color is orange chicken supposed to be? What kind of orange chicken do you eat? And I was like, wow, that guy is not playing around. Every single bad comics pages of this guy.
Was it on Yelp that you found all these?
No, it was like Google reviews.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, what's been the funnest place outside of Sioux Falls that you've been to?
The best place I've done a show, the
Right.
most fun, the coolest stage was probably the Marquee in Sioux City.
No kidding.
Because it's a big stage and it's a tall stage. And I had a wireless mic, like a grown-up.
Oh, yeah.
So I could just walk around. I had all this free range.
Didn't have to worry about tripping on anything.
Right. And so, I don't know, it kind of gives you this a little bit more freedom. You can kind of focus on what you're saying more than where you're standing or where your mic is.
All right. So you
Yeah.
came to us from Florida. Obviously, Florida to Sioux Falls, there's going to be a lot of difference in the way crowds react and so forth.
Yeah.
Comedy is comedy.
Right.
But still, you have to worry about, colloquialisms, regionality, things like that.
Right.
Where have you been lately that you said, well, this is kind of different from the home crowd?
Oh, gosh. Most recently, I've noticed that everybody says sounds good at the end of a conversation or a statement. And so I like to say on stage, because I love making comparisons between what I grew up with and the way you guys talk, because I feel like there's a lot of similarities in the oddity of the colloquialisms between the South and the Midwest. There's some similarities there, but different. The Midwest is a little bit more wholesome. So I like to say no matter what you tell a Midwesterner, it doesn't matter if you give them bad news or not. At the end, they're going to be like, sounds good, sounds good, sounds good.
Even the double.
Yeah.
Sounds good, sounds good.
Sounds good, sounds good.
That's like, one of my favorite that I hear from young people especially is, oh, right.
Yeah. I say, yeah. I sound like that dinosaur from Land Before Time. Yep.
What's the scene like for comedy in other markets?
It's a lot more vicious. I would say it's a lot more competitive.
Wow.
I would say it's not nearly as wholesome as we are here in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
I hear a lot from other scenes about how it's hard to do comedy because people kind of backbite each other.
Oh, a little cutthroat.
They're like vying for the same spots, it seems like. But I think in Sioux Falls, we have every single comic is so original and so different from each other that there's really no competition, and we all enjoy each other's comedy.
Right.
Like we all honestly think each other is funny and enjoy spending time together. And all we do is lift each other up. We don't try to knock anybody down.
Well, not only that, but you're in open mics together.
Yeah.
Quite a few of you are in shows together.
Yeah.
That are around here. And then quite a few even travel together down to, like Omaha and Sioux City and so forth. So
definitely.
It is more of a family type here, isn't
a very
it?
weird, dysfunctional family, but a family
Well,
nonetheless.
that makes a good family. Weird and dysfunctional always does it. Tell us about the comedy that you're looking to do, though. I mean, you say that you've got something coming up that we're going to be all astounded by and so forth. Well, yeah, this whole, reality thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's great. But are there other things in the works that you're going, this is going to be something a little bit out of my zone that I've done, but it's still based off of my comedy background?
Right. So, I guess doing a podcast, I guess that's a new thing. So I started a podcast where I'm into wrestling, and a lot of people are kind of shocked that I like professional wrestling, but I really do. I used to do professional wrestling. And so
you did?
Yes.
What was the name?
I was Jamie Lee Roth, and yes. And sometimes some of the other wrestlers would call me Jumpin' Jamie Lee Roth. Yeah. So that was fun.
What made you get into that?
Well, I wasn't really into wrestling as a kid or as an adult, but then my husband took me to a couple of independent wrestling shows, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Just fell in love with it, and I wanted to learn how to do it. I wanted to get up there and yell at the crowds, insults, like the heels. I really wanted to be a heel. And so there was a wrestling school in Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling, and it was run by Jay Lethal, who is a Ring of Honor champion. And I went to his school and was trained by Jay Lethal, and it was amazing and fun and hard.
So what was your record?
Oh gosh, I didn't really beat people. I was more of a jobber.
Okay.
So like the couple of matches I did do, I would go out and be like, because I was tall, I'm a tall lady. I'd come out and I'd be all mean and scary, and then the face or this pretty girl, this cute girl would beat me, So everybody could hate me, but then they, at the end, yay, the good girl won,
How did it feel when you got in there then?
Oh, it's very similar to getting on stage now, which I think is why I like being on stage. I just like performing, and the crowd reacting to me and the crowd interaction is what was so much fun. Just making them hate me as much as I possibly could.
What do you do with the podcast then, talking about wrestling?
Yeah, so
What's it going to involve?
Right. So I have a series of 10 episodes. I've got 5 comedians and 5 wrestlers or people involved in wrestling, like referees. And the wrestlers, we're going to talk about comedy. And then the comedians, we're going to talk about professional wrestling. Yeah.
Very cool. I like the concept a lot. And so you've got 10 already done?
No, not yet,
got
but I have 10 planned. I've
10
got
planned.
3 already done.
3 in the bag.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Where can we find them?
So you can find it on Podbean, Prairie Madness Podcast, and also on YouTube, Prairie Madness Podcast. Easy peasy.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, like that. That makes it fine and dandy.
Yeah.
What are the types of questions that the comedians like to have about wrestling?
So I like to start with the beginning. Like, when did you first hear about wrestling? What are your first wrestling memories? What was that like? How did that feel? Were your parents okay with it? Because my parents weren't okay with me watching wrestling. So I'm always interested to see if other people's parents were also that way. And some of them were like that. And then they waited until they were adults to get into wrestling. So they have this, I think, a very different point of view about it. When you take into account what age you get into it, sort of what you project onto it from your own life and what turns you on about it.
So then when you come time to interview the wrestlers about comedy,
Right.
where do you start?
I start with, who is your favorite comedian right now and why? Who's your favorite right now and why? And then we just kind of go from there. What was the first stand-up comedian you remember watching? Who was your favorite when you were a kid? And how has your taste in comedy changed as you've gotten older?
And how much comedy do you find in wrestling?
Right. And because I say that we do the same thing in a match and in a set.
True.
We are telling a story. We've got the heat, which is we're kind of bearing down on the audience and maybe fooling them into an emotion that we're going to do the switcheroo and switch them around with a different punchline than they're expecting, So I think that there's a very similar storyline in wrestling matches as there are in sets of comedy, because we're kind of taking the audience up and down and then right back up again at the end.
All right, so you've got your own podcast, and you've been on some others, and our mutual friend William Conway now has a podcast, and enjoying that, and you were recently on that. How was that experience?
That was great. We talked a lot about mental health. And I talked about my diagnosis and the things I do to help myself, because I think it's really important for he and I both think it's important for people to be open about that sort of thing, so other people don't feel
Very
so
true.
alone, to be out about it and loud about it. So yeah, we talked about that mostly.
All right, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Man, far more talented than people understand until they get to know him a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever heard him sing?
Yes.
Oh.
I know,
My
he's
goodness.
great.
Yeah, he's
We
phenomenal.
we did karaoke one night together.
Yeah.
My husband and I went with him, and I got on stage and sang a song, and it was horrible, but I didn't care. I had fun. And so while I'm on stage and I'm like caterwauling, my husband like looks over at William Conway and goes, "I get to take that home tonight."
Caterwauling. Now, this is episode 88. I'm pretty sure it's the first time that word has been used on the Dave Holly Hour.
Leave it to me.
Yes, you did well. You brought some excitement to the show now.
New vocabulary word.
Caterwauling, love it. When it comes to words, what are funny words that make you think, I got to do something about this? I've got to do a bit.
Oh gosh, caterwauling is a good one.
Yes, it is.
I can't. Now I'm on the spot. No, I can't think of anything funny when I'm supposed to think of funny things. See, now if I were somewhere I wasn't supposed to be funny, that's all I could think about was funny things.
That happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you go to these other markets, do you end up on any local radio stations and so forth, interviews with media?
Yeah, I do interviews in Sioux City with the Sioux City Weekender.
Okay.
I've done a couple of interviews with them. The rock radio station down there, I'm not sure what the call sign is, but
Does
the rock.
it still have a Z in it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. The Z something or
I
whatever.
think it was 98 or 97 or something like that.
I did an interview with them. Actually, they caught me while I was in the restroom at work one day.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, I can't hang up on this phone call. This is important.
And is that going into set then?
Yeah. I would
that has
probably
to,
talk
a
about
story
that.
like that. No doubt about
Yeah.
that. What's the thing that you remember when you started getting into comedy? as to maybe some best advice you got.
Oh, Nathan Holtz would give me such good tips on when to pause, like making sure you wait for people to finish laughing before you start the next joke, because they're just not ready yet. Let them enjoy that joke for a minute and wait until it dies down before you start the next one. Because when you first start, you're just trying to get through it the best you can. And, like, oh, I memorized this. I'm going to, bam, 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 bam. All right. Oh, God, I'm done finally. But you can't be that way. After a while, you have to be able to pause and take breaks and listen for the audience reactions and take, cues from them on where you should go next.
Now, we've talked before, and I know one of the things that you do is basically the day of, leading up to the show, is when you come up with the set for that night.
Yeah.
But is there one bit that you absolutely have to have in every set?
Oh, gosh. Now it's my story about when my daughter asked what a queef was. That's been my closer a few times because it's just so funny, and it's such a funny situation, and people love it whenever I'm mean to my husband. So,
well, and your daughters are great. We just recently met them, and Lotus and Magnolia are just phenomenal.
They're so silly.
Great girls.
Thank you. They're super smart.
Well, I think what impressed me the most, besides being smart and so forth, they're very courteous.
Yes.
Yeah. They and loving too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, oh, nice to meet you, and gave us hugs and so forth. So very cool. You're
That's
doing a great
awesome.
job
Thank
there.
you.
So, kids, when they bring up stuff, it is obviously, going to be the thing that, can make everybody laugh, even if they're not a parent.
Yes.
Because we know that there's just such uninhibitedness in a child.
Right.
And that's what gets a good laugh. What about you? What's your uninhibited part of Jamie Tharney?
Oh, gosh. Well, yeah, I'm not really inhibited on stage.
Yeah.
I uninhibit it when I'm on stage. I think that's where I get all my sillies out. I tell my daughters, go outside and run around and get your sillies out. And so I think I get my sillies out on stage, and I think that's where I am the most uninhibited. I get to dial it up a notch.
Is stage time therapy for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, whenever you're a comedian, your brain is on all the time. You're always thinking of something funny to say, something inappropriate, and so most of the time where you have to pretend to be an adult, you're kind of holding those things in. And so you write them down, and then you talk to yourself about them. And then finally you get on stage and you can just blow up with it. This thing you've been kind of hanging on to, and you can't wait to make people laugh with it because it made you laugh so hard when you thought of it.
By the way, we do need to announce that you have just added another show coming up at the end of August.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going back to the Black Angus in Canton.
Right.
Yes, you were with me along with Zach Dresch back a month or two back, and we had a great time there, and they want us back. So you and I and Jerry Irby are going there.
Yeah, he's great.
Jerry's fantastic. We were just having a little supper conversation about him, how he's just got this great sense of timing.
Yeah.
In this low-key way of then boom, here comes the punch.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
So I will open. Jerry will be our, what you did last time, be the feature.
Right.
And then you, hang on, I think I've got it right here. There's the timpani.
Oh.
And the headliner for Saturday, August 28th at the Black Angus Bar and Grill in Canton, South Dakota, Miss Jamie Tharney. And that'll be right before she's going to be on some big show on CBS. You've also got some other things you've been working on too, don't you?
Yeah.
I know one thing that you have is your artwork.
Yeah.
And tell us, what you like to do artistically.
I just like smushing colors together until I think it's pretty. I just love, my favorite colors are blue and white. So I do a lot of blue and white stuff, just sort of abstract, and I try to be all geometric about it too. So I will use my tape like I did today. I used my tape to cut out a few different geometric shapes and then sort of painted around it and made it look kind of like a cobalt blue marble and white marble. And I love painting. It makes me happy. Whenever I paint, it's because I've gotten this thing in my brain. I was like, okay, you have to paint this right now, or we can't move on with our day. And so that's kind of what happens. You paint right now, and then I paint. And so then after I paint, then it's kind of whatever that was in my head is released, and it's pretty and it's fun.
So do you complete a painting project each time then at that point?
Yeah.
So it's not one of those
long.
that, you've been working on for 5 weeks or even 5 days. It's just...
No, it's like, bam, I get this idea and I'm like, oh, I need to make that right now. That would be really pretty. And then I do it for like an hour.
Mine is doodling.
Yeah.
I do these really crazy doodles and fill them in with different colored pencils and so forth.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, that's my artwork.
Yeah.
But it is... and along with you, for me, because you know that I also have some issues that I have to deal with depression and so forth. Performing is therapy.
It is.
Doing this with you, this is therapy.
It is.
Yeah, and all types of things. And at some point, probably in the fall, we're going to be having, I'm putting this out there, because then if I do this and say this, it'll hold me to it.
Right.
We want to have a comedy festival, Laugh Until You Cry.
Yeah.
And because so many people that are comedians do have issues that are back there. That's a lot of what provides the laughs for you people that don't have the issues. And then, so what we'll do is we'll probably have quite a few. It'll be a little bit more than an open mic type thing, but it's not going to be, 30 and 40-minute sets, because we're probably going to have a handful of comedians that will be doing that. And then afterwards, we'll have a little chat session about the things we deal with and so forth. So there, people, we've broken a couple of big announcements about shows coming up. But again, you are just such a joy to watch. And it's been so fun getting to know you as well, and working with you a few times, and continuing to work with you. But what is it you like about being in Sioux Falls and your comedy now exploding?
I love being in Sioux Falls because this is my home now. It feels like home. I feel like I can walk into a bar, the Top Hat, for instance. I can walk in there and the bartender just hands me my drink. Yeah. And he knows my name, and he comes to my comedy shows. I love that small town feeling about it, but it's very inclusive in the art scene. There's no gatekeeping. Right. Everybody's welcome in all your weird glory. And I love that so much. And I love the Midwest comedy scene because there's just so much work that's available, and there's a lot of work to be done to make sure that minorities are also represented. I see a lot of shows that look like a pack of saltine crackers, and I'm like, there's funny girls, and there's funny people of color, and there's funny queers, and there's funny all different kinds of people. I feel like part of my job is to sort of bring that to light and to sort of push that, pick from everybody, not just one group. And
you've done that well yourself, because you basically started the Prairie Madness.
I did.
So you, in addition to being a comic, you have added producer to your title. And you guys are getting a lot of play all over the place.
Yeah, we are. I'm doing a Prairie Madness produced show on Saturday the 10th at Lupulin Brewery. I've got Thomas Paul headlining. Andrew Kerner is going to feature for him. And I've got Sarah King, MP Snyders, and I've got Large Marge coming to do a few minutes as well. So it's going to be a super fun time.
That it will be.
Yeah, and I like having that diverse lineup of comedians, because they're also very different, and they probably wouldn't get booked other places because they're not really mainstream. They're very alternative, which is what I really like. And they make me laugh. I just really am giving them time on stage because I want to see them do longer sets personally. Like, I want to go see it happen. So I decided to make it happen for myself. So
how long did it take you to progress from having a set that you would do for an open mic to a feature act to a headline?
Probably 6 months to feature after I won the Larry Brinkman Award the first time. And I was super shocked at that. Then I got some feature spots around town, like at the bonus round and for a Boozless show, I think was my first feature. And then some Minneapolis comics came in and did a show called the Comedy Cutie Pageant, and I won their little pageant. And so that was fun. And then I got kind of tired of waiting around, to get spots in other places. And I was seeing some of my girls not getting chosen to be in spots that they were pretty much ready for because they had been doing it longer than I had. So that's really why I made Prairie Madness, is because I got tired of waiting around for someone else to notice us.
Necessity, the mother of invention.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We always end with a couple of questions that are pretty standard on this show. When you're not a performer, what do you like to be involved and entertained by?
I love music a lot. I play the flute. So like I'll practice that, do art. I like watching funny cartoons. There's this show on, I think it's Comedy Central, called Cake, which is like a series of weird, short, funny, surrealist films that I really dig. And I like watching that sort of stuff because it's more cutting edge. It's more edgy comedy. And I don't want to get like sucked in by something that's mediocre. I want to watch stuff that might make me a little bit uncomfortable, because then maybe whenever I'm writing my own jokes, I can push myself a little bit further, and maybe make the audience a little bit uncomfortable as well. But that's good art, right?
And it is. That's what spurns it. And that's how we get new creators out and about. All right. So then the final question then is, what about other hobbies?
Oh, yeah, the art. I love doing art. I like to cook. I like to bake.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's your go-to bake?
Sugar cookies. Man, I make a mean sugar cookie.
Okay.
And I
I'll
like
remember
to make
that at Christmas time.
Yes, I make a really good sugar cookie.
Said the man looking like Santa Claus.
Yeah, of course you get some. Goodness. That would be sinful for me not to bring you cookies. It'd be crazy. But yeah, I like to do that. And then I like to put the royal icing on top. And that way I can make a painting on my cookies. And that's
nicely
also really fun.
done.
Yeah.
Nicely handled, Veruca. Now there's a girl that knows where she's going. All right. Thank you, as always, Jamie. It's a pleasure. Before we say goodbye to you, though, again, Saturday night, you've got a show.
At Lupulin, yeah. And then another one on July 31st at Monk's. I got a big Prairie Madness show. So I've got Jessica Hammond, who is a muralist, an artist, and guitar player. She writes funny songs. From Sioux City is coming along with ukulele.
Okay.
So we're going to have some new music. And we've got Alicia Rain hosting, Sarah King, and myself headlining that show. And we're asking people to bring feminine hygiene products and laundry detergent for Bishop Dudley House and the Children's Inn.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so Prairie Madness is actually going to be a big supporter of Children's Inn in the future. We're going to be ambassadors for them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
Yeah, I can imagine so. Oh, well done.
Thanks.
And Jamie, as always, thank you. It's such a pleasure to see you again, and always great having a chat with you as well. It's always very enjoyable, and I learn something new about you each time.
Thank you.
All right, wrestling lady. And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
It's another Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment conversation on the Dave Holly Hour.
Oh my goodness. She has now tied for first in the most appearances on the Dave Holly Hour. Elisabeth Hunstad, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing very well because I found out this week that I passed 5,000 downloads of the show.
That is so awesome.
I was very, very pleased with it. You know, in the whole scheme of things, compared to, like the big podcasts and so forth, it's nothing. But, out of a town of 180 or 190 some thousand people,
I think it's really,
I think it's really cool.
really
that
awesome.
That many people enjoying the arts and entertainment around the Sioux Empire, and they enjoy seeing you. And it's been fun having you on before,
Thanks.
and have loved you ever since the first time we met. And it's just
Yeah,
like, boy,
you're
this
awesome.
gal is just so fun, and such a great way of going about music, and the fact that you are so good at marketing.
Thank
Yourself
you.
as a musician. And, that was one of the first things that I started to realize when I did start the show is how many people in this community make a living in arts and entertainment. It's not just a little side gig. And even the ones that have as side gigs still rehearse as hard as anybody else.
Oh, they do.
They still have talent
If not
like
more
anybody
sometimes.
else. Yeah, and so it's always great to see that, and also the fact that there's such collaboration that goes on. But it's always fun to have you on because you are one of those that has a lot of energy. And people get to see you a lot, especially during the summertime.
Yep.
And this is busy season time for you, isn't it?
Yes. So yes, as I always say, thank you for having me. And I gotta say though, I brought you something today.
Okay.
For your 5,000 downloads, these are some new scratch cards that are out. They're fat wallets for
Fat
your
wallets.
for your fat wallet. So we can scratch these while we're
Awesome.
chatting. I'm just sure we're
Yeah.
gonna win.
Okay, and so how does this one work? Have you played this already?
Well,
Do we
listen,
scratch everything?
you got your winning numbers on the side, so you want these numbers over here to match. Then you got a bonus up top that needs to match the symbol that they show you here.
Okay.
Anyway, we can do that.
All
but
right. Let's do it.
yeah, busy season. I've been telling people I'm trying to make up for the last year of the colder months and then being in the house and
Right, and
not having things.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to get out, and I've been able to see you more often too, which is really nice.
Exactly, and we caught you at Severance
Yes,
Brewing
on last
this
Tuesday.
past week, so
Yeah.
that was great. And boy, that was one of the most beautiful nights we had too.
The weather was perfect. It wasn't
It was,
too hot.
yeah,
and
because
was
it
sunny
has
and-
been so hot
Yes.
so often lately. Okay, so I have on the top I have an 8, and on the bottom I have a 16.
Perfect. So then over here to the right, you just want any of these numbers to match
Any of
either
them
one
match?
of those. Yep.
Oh, either one,
Yep.
not just the one that it's in the same line as.
Thanks for having me, guys. So let's do something different while we're in our interview. And I have a 6 and a 14, so I'm trying to match
Okay.
those.
Well, nothing on the top row.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a 2 and a 17, 13, 4, 18. Bottom row, come on.
Okay.
19, that's an upside down 6. 6,
Okay.
but not a
Well,
16.
see, now I had a 6. I needed that number.
3,
Okay.
2 attempts left.
Yep.
12, final chance. And another 7, but it would have been worth $7,000. Sad trombone. Wah, wah, wah.
Okay.
Okay.
However, now I got a 5
Oh.
times symbol on here. So I didn't match. But it says if you get a 5 times, you win 5 times the prize shown. So my prize, $1. So I just won $5 for your
Awesome.
5,000 downloads. You can have my winner, but you got your bonus you can scratch
Okay,
too.
I have to. Okay, but where's the part about you might have X amount times something? What was that?
Oh, just down here, I had a 5 times symbol.
Oh, the 5.
Have you never scratched a card
All
before? Anyway, you need a money stack to win the bonus. So, nope, neither
I
one
got
of
a
us
bonus
got that.
hat. All right.
You can have my
That's
$5
all
winner.
right. Oh,
For
you
having
were
me on
too
the show.
kind.
Thank you. See, this is how it works, guys. This is how I get the most visits back. I pay them. Just kidding. Just kidding. Anyway.
Well, between you and local Lou, who brought me Jack Daniels Diet Coke and a lime one time,
Okay,
that's
I
one
see
of
how
the
it
best
works. All
gifts.
right. I love that. Congrats, so that's really
Oh,
awesome.
thank you. Thank
do
you,
a
thank
really
you.
nice podcast, and I'm always honored when I saw you last week and you go, "Hey, do you want to come on the show again next week?" I was like, "Cool."
Yeah, and then we kind of had to work it out logistically, but it
Yeah, well,
it
thank
finally
you
happened.
for making that work. I know it is busy season, which is nice. It's
Right.
nice to see everyone again and get out. And thanks for saying I have a lot of energy because I wonder if people are like, how does she just keep going? I think I'm just so glad to be out and see everyone.
Yeah, and occasionally your boyfriend happens to play with you, Mike Pearson.
Yes.
And that's always fun to see him plunking away at the bass and so forth.
Yeah.
Are you getting more gigs together that way too?
We are. I just tell people in general that I can always be booked solo, duo, or the full band.
Right. In
But
fact,
it's been, what's that?
did I see that there's going to be a Elisabeth Hunstad trio?
We did that for the
You did
605 Summer Classic
Okay,
for the
that's
beer
what it was.
tasting. Yep, but I'm hoping to do some more of that kind of thing. It's nice to give people the variety, but yeah, with Michael, it's just, I mean, he's very talented, and
Mm-hmm.
it works out well to do the bass and the piano, and then we can always add, when we do the full band, add the drums and that kind of thing. But yeah.
Well, that's great. And in the meantime, he's in a new band, and we're hoping to talk to that whole band.
Yes,
at
Neon
some point.
Horizon.
Yeah, they look great.
They're awesome.
Especially since I've always wanted to have Mark on anyway.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's a cool guy.
He's a very, very cool guy. In fact, I'll give you an idea of how cool he is. He and his wife just sold Pilates, and he had been managing that for several years since the time that they bought it. But prior to that, he managed the Phillips Diner.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well,
Yep.
Carrie and I used to go there quite often, and it was a Saturday night, and this is probably 10.
Of course, you know Mark
10
and
years
Kayla. You know everybody. I was just thinking, how do you know them?
But
Cool.
Mark was the manager at the diner at the time, and we used to get this wine called Little Boomy, and we ordered it every time that we were there. And so we go in on a Saturday night, and the waitress immediately goes, "We don't have any Little Boomy." Oh no! And
Yeah, that's pretty devastating when you
So
go
then-
somewhere for something.
yeah, and
we
then
do.
and then Mark heard that, and he goes, "Give me 5 minutes." And this is back when Sid's Liquor was still downtown
gosh.
before it got taken down, and he sprinted to
He
Sid's.
appreciates you guys.
Bought a bottle of Little Boomy for us and sprinted back to give that to us. And I thought, now it's going to be tough the rest of my life to ever find a better customer service
You
story
gotta get
than
him
that.
on the show for sure. That's
So
awesome.
we'll have them on. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, we're here to talk about you.
Well, that's cool
And-
because
and all
what
the
it does
great
is it's
stuff.
telling you everybody's connected. And actually, we did do.
That's right.
We did do a band show where Mark played with us as well, and
Mm-hmm.
with Michael and me. So it's cool. Like everybody helps each other out where we can. And
That's well, and that's such a common theme on this show that
Yeah.
I've come to realize is that there's not a lot of quote unquote competition,
right.
but there's a whole ton of collaboration.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Nice.
and so it's got to be great for you that no matter who calls you and says, "Hey, we're looking to have some entertainment," and you can give them the options. Then
Yeah, no, it is nice to have that, and I figure everyone's talents are different anyway, so everybody has something to offer, and with each person contributing, what you get, the whole would be greater, I think, than if you're just trying to do it all yourself. So it's neat that we have so much talent and just nice people in the community that like to work together, and you kind of
So,
learn who to call for different things.
This is your fourth time on the show, and so what? Yeah.
I'm losing
and-
track. That's a nice problem. Thank you.
And what has progressed since the first time we got together?
Well, I'd say, I'm just always staying the course of, I want to always make sure I'm doing music full time. I find the most joy in that, and not having, this is my day job, not having a regular hours of a day job or that kind of thing. So just keeping going with that, and trying to always, therefore, keep up with what I'm doing, update it. I try to be innovative with different ideas, and be creative and be thought of as well. Maybe Elisabeth will be willing to try that, or if somebody has a concept. So that kind of thing. I'm working on, I'm always learning more music. I want to write more. I just got a new keyboard, actually, I'm really excited about, and I think that'll
nice.
help me to create more as well.
Well, when you're a small group, whether it's you as a solo artist or you and Michael together, or somebody playing drums for you as well.
Yeah.
The thing that impressed me off the bat when we first saw you is the fact that you have your load in and load out down to a science. I mean, every piece of equipment that you have makes sense.
Thanks.
From the stool that you use to the table that your keyboard goes on.
Yep.
It's like, that's one of the most innovative things I've ever seen.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
thank you. That's really cool. Like, on the other side of that, of what it looks like to people, because in my mind, I'm just hustling and bustling to get it all plugged in and ready. But I will say this on the record as well, because it's something, people give me a hard time about, but laugh respectfully that they go, that's just Elisabeth. Same reason. I like to just kind of come in, set up, play the gig, and then tear down. And then, you don't have to think about it or spend all this time. I know a lot of venues are used to musicians coming earlier, or musicians are used to, what time are we going to set up? And I'm like, well, I'll be there, about half hour before the show starts. I'm not one to want to have too much downtime, because I like that energy and I'm amped up and I'm rolling. So
as long as you have electricity, we'll play.
Yeah. That's basically what I tell people. Like, if you got a place to plug in, it doesn't really matter. Don't worry about when I get there. I'll roll in. And so I'm glad each piece looks like it makes sense. That's pretty cool. So.
All right. So then when it comes to you being full-time at this, and this is your day job, quote unquote, then take us through, do you have like a schedule during a day? Because obviously gigs are typically at night,
right?
Early evening. You do a lot of that, so you're not out having to come back from a gig at like midnight too often, occasionally and so forth. But do you have like a set time that you decide to practice and work on things, and another set time?
Nope.
Okay, this is where I'm marketing. It's just whatever hits that day.
Whatever feels right. I operate better that way. I've been told that I'm equally right and left-brained. So I have that left brain that goes, okay, here's my list. I got to get all this stuff done. Then, bing, 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 bing. But then at the same time, the way I go about it's very creative of, okay, I'm inspired. I'm going to go do all my book work right now, or I'm going to respond to emails or do all that kind of thing. And it's just always in the back of my mind of, I don't want to wait too long to reply to things. So I stay on it, I think, overall. Mm-hmm. If I ever let anything slip, I don't mean to by any means, but I just kind of just get it done, I guess. It's obviously during the day, but I'll, wake up when I wake up and get that stuff done. And then if I have a gig, go out and play the gig, or on non-gig days, then it's just kind of, okay, time to maybe take a little downtime or get more of those things done. But, so no, I don't schedule it, but I do want to find a way to get in the habit of sitting down and then just working more, because I mean, I'm music. I want to write more music, and sometimes it's just getting myself to sit down and go, oh yeah, this is okay to just sit create right now, because I'm like, okay, I got the book work done, I got this done, now I can just chill for a minute, or But
when people come to see you, there's a great chance that you're going to be able to play whatever they want you to play.
I do try.
You'll give it the old college try if nothing else. But so then when it comes to adding new things to a set, I mean, do you go in with an idea of what your set's going to be? Or because you know that so many people are going to request something?
Oh, like when I'm actually playing?
When you're actually playing. Do you have a set? Here's the Elisabeth Hunstad set 1. Here's hour 2.
Telling all my secrets. Yeah. No, but they're not really secrets, because there probably other musicians wouldn't want to take my advice. I know. I just read the room or the patio or wherever we are, and read the vibe, and you just think, okay, what songs maybe does this crowd want to hear? And you look around at everybody, and if they respond better to certain types of songs, and requests are helpful to a degree, because then you get at least a mood that they're in, or maybe they want you to go this direction. But I don't necessarily need requests, but it just kind of depends. And a lot of times with that, it's nice to go, well, I know that song, or I don't, but then I'll go home and it's something that I can look up. So I do think of certain artists, people ask okay, I should work on at least adding a couple from them, or that kind of thing. So I try to keep it balanced. My main goal, and I'm sure I've talked about this many times with you, but also on the show, is I like people to listen and go, wow, she just really covers all sorts of stuff. I don't want anyone to feel like, well, she only played this kind of thing, or I want it to reach at least a song that reaches everyone at some point, hopefully. And if not, come up and talk to me. I'll find you one.
What's been the most recent song you've added because of people requesting it?
Well, I guess I'm off the top of my head. I'm not entirely sure. I have to think about that. I really like Dua Lipa, so I mean, I've been into her stuff, and then her song "Levitating" has come out more recently. But I was just jamming out to that before it came out, and I thought, that'd be a fun one to sing. And it's that one isn't necessarily one that everyone just knows and sings along to, but then I'll get the kids going, oh, well, she just played that current song, so maybe she knows another song that, so it'll extend to that, of people feeling like they can ask for different kinds of things. Today I had a request, and it was a Rachel Platten fight song, and I don't ever say, oh, I do that song, or it's a song that I would necessarily pick for myself for my regular set list. And this couple little girls came up, and I was like, actually, yeah, I think I know that one. And it's a fun moment too. Then when I played, I was like, I think that actually went like, maybe it was convincing. Hopefully if they listen to this, they go, yeah, we thought she knew it, but or not. But I felt pretty good about it. So that's a fun moment. Other times, sometimes you go, oh, okay, that one didn't go as well as I wanted it to. And then you just, you just have fun. That's the other thing is I like making people feel like, oh, you can laugh along with me, and we'll pick out something else if it doesn't go the way, But.
All right, so we are into the summer season.
Yes.
And we've seen it all so far. 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Rainstorms and so forth. What types of things do you have to worry about when it's an outdoor gig you're doing?
Swallowing bugs. That's what I've been really telling everybody this year.
Hang on, you get the rim shot for that one.
That's awesome. It wasn't that many gigs ago. Actually, Michael was playing. We were doing a duo gig, and I just like mid lyric, I just like stopped, and I was trying to like overcome it and just go, it's fine. And I think if I just would have been like, no big deal, and like my mind in the right place, I could have kept singing. But in my mind, I was like, I just swallowed a bug. That was disgusting. Because my mouth was open. So then it took me a minute, and I'm like coughing, just keep playing the song, But yeah, there's those kinds of things that can be anybody when you're outside. Obviously, as any musician would say, you don't have that freedom to move away. I suppose if you're standing, and I do for some gigs, but around the keyboard I tend to sit more, so then if they want to land on you or chew you up or go up your nose or your mouth. Like I said, it's something else that hopefully is funny and people go, oh, I can relate,
Well, one of the things I've always been wanting to ask you about, and I see this for other performers when they're outside also, because so much is done on an iPad or a tablet of some sort now.
Yeah.
How about the sun glaring on that? I mean, do you have a really high-tech iPad that, you can
I've thought
adjust to... not have any glare off that?
I've thought about, I think some people say there's like, a screen or something you put over it or whatever, so it is easier to see, but I don't have anything like that, and I haven't really thought about it, and mine's nothing super high tech. I just kind of like try to stare at it, I guess, but I don't really use it that much. I mean, it's more there for certain songs that are newer to my list, but the ones I play all the time, I actually find myself not using it on more songs than I do, so it's kind of just... I mess around with it while I'm playing, and it probably sounds funny, but if you see me, like noodling on my iPad while I'm playing, I'm usually looking for what am I going to sing next, or just get ideas. So yeah, that as a performer, I think it's good to try not to rely on it too much, but there are certain songs where you need it, and then you go, how do you see when the song's there?
Because that's the thing that's always gotten me. It's like, okay, do I put on sunglasses to be able to read this, or what, and so forth. But that's interesting, and I love the bug comment. That's going down in in the archives.
Well, thanks. Yeah. I kind of I've never really asked musicians that, like, how many people can really, or I'm sure I've had those moments of just...
Oh, no doubt.
Like I said, I've had them go up the nose or things like that, and you're just like, ugh. But the swallowing it in your mid-lyric because your mouth is open because you were singing and you were trying to get that, that note out the right way, then what do you do? And then
ever had any bird situation?
I was just thinking of that, too. I have had my gear pooped on.
But not you.
Not on a gig.
Okay.
I like how people tell you if a bird poops. Have you been pooped on?
Yes, I have.
They tell you it's good luck. I'm like, thanks for trying to make something positive out of something disgusting.
The summer between my freshman and sophomore year in college, I interned at KSCJ Radio in Sioux City.
Okay.
And I was a news reporter, and I had to cover City Hall. And the station was out in the country. I had a 1972 Ford Pinto.
Yeah.
And... it didn't have air conditioning. So my air conditioning was, two windows down at whatever miles per hour you were hitting.
Oh.
And just before...
driving?
While I was driving, my arm is out to try and keep cool and plop right there.
No.
Right before I go to a city council meeting.
Gross.
So that's my bird poop story.
Yeah, that's gross. I'm sorry. I know I've been for quite a few years now using a Bose tower, and so that's what got pooped on, I don't know, a couple summers ago, and you don't want it on anything, but then
Right.
I think, okay, like I thought I invested in nice speakers, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
Don't they send out
They don't
little tone to birds?
They don't discriminate. Or maybe they do. Those speakers are too nice. Let's poop on them. It's like, I don't know. But
Couldn't hit one of the cases that was closed. No. Had to hit that. The Bose. Yeah, that is a nice piece of equipment, too.
Thanks.
That's what's great, is the fact that you basically can fill a room or an outside patio using that one piece of equipment instead of going, ooh, boy, do I need to get like 6 woofers and...
Right. I use it most of the time just because if I'm hauling my stuff by myself, it's easier for me to haul around, and the speakers are omnidirectional, so it's nice. There are like bigger shows or outdoor shows where then sometimes we look into a bigger system. But,
right.
Yeah.
But then
for me, for most of my shows.
Right. For what you
pretty
do on average, we should say probably is what it is. But have you ever been rained out? I mean, while performing?
Oh yeah, and you can tell how my attitude changes too, with how often I've been playing. Like, so summer gigs, if I've been playing all summer and I'm like, it looks like rain, I don't want to risk it because you obviously can't get your gear wet. I'll ask ahead of time. But there was a graduation party I got to play in May, and I was just so glad to have like a gig again. It was one of the first after all the COVID things, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna have it outside, and so then a few drops started, and it was just funny because I could tell a total change in my attitude of like, that's okay, I'm just glad to have a gig, I'll wait a moment, like it's probably just a few drops, and like tried to cover my stuff. Well, then it was a total downpour, and so normally I'm more like, go tear it down as fast as we can, and people were really nice, like, we'll help you get it inside.
Nice.
And everything, but that happens. What do you do?
What's
try to have a good mindset about it.
What's the future hold for you in your music?
Well, I know coming up this week, that's why thank you for finding time with this, because I thought, well, maybe I should wait till there's more time. And then I thought, well, if it works for you that you'd ask me this week, then there's more to talk about, I guess. We're in the middle of some busy things. But this week's really crazy. I've got stuff every day. But one of the big events that typically comes around once a year, and we didn't get to last year. I know you've talked with Alex of Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues, and she and I connected a lot throughout all the COVID days and things as well, and that was neat. So to see that Jazz Crawl is going to happen again, and it's always been in April. Well, not always. Last year we didn't get to have it.
Right.
So it's really cool that they're doing it, and this year obviously it's in July, so I'm looking forward to that and getting to be a part of that again. So I always try to be on the crawl somewhere.
And I'm looking forward to that because I am actually, as of this Tuesday, volunteering for 4 weeks for Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues.
That's so awesome.
I will be seeing you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing that. Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues is a very dear organization to me for a lot of reasons. A lot of my upbringing in music in Sioux Falls has to do with them, like, school into college and beyond. I did my internship with them. And so anybody that contributes to what they do is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
so,
and great organization indeed.
They're lucky to have you.
Well, thank you. And it's going to be a busy few weeks for them. But beyond that, then what else is coming up for you?
Well, goodness, another thing, I do want to give it a shout out. I absolutely love,
of course,
I love Sioux Falls, and, doing a lot of things in our 605 community overall, but, we've been lucky to find a couple of really cool spots in Fairmont, Minnesota, Channel Inn and Marina Lodge. And, so Michael and I played there. I guess not this last weekend, but the weekend before.
Yeah.
Yep, and I know you're good at keeping track of my schedule. Thank you. We're going to be there again end of August, but that's so fun to just, because only 2 hours away too, but to get away and like little change of pace. So, there's lakes and it's beautiful there, and because I like doing that. I love where we live. There's a lot of cool opportunities here, and so I don't venture out too far because I like the way Sioux Falls has been amazing and does have opportunities to keep musicians busy. But once in a while to just go a couple hours and see a little something different and bring our music to people other places is really cool too. And then to be able to say, yeah, we're from Sioux Falls is really neat. And then people go, oh wow, that they didn't know that we had that going on here. So
yeah, and it's really amazing cool. What is going on here too.
Yeah.
So
and they've been really great to us there. So yeah, it's a win-win, I think.
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, and because you are such a big part of it here in the Sioux Empire, and we thank you for sharing your talents. Of course, we have to end with the 2 questions, and you've answered these before, but it's always fun to see if the answers change a little bit.
If I remember the question.
Aside from when you're performing and entertaining, what do you like to be entertained by?
Okay, I know this answer always is the same in the one respect I know I've said, because I love to go out and support the arts and see other musicians, and but also like if I can get out to plays or things, a lot of that stuff though hits when I'm singing, so I need to get out and do more of that, but I like to do that and show other people the support as well, but also just spending time with family and friends and my dogs. And
oh yeah, because you went right to the next question of other hobbies.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I want to travel some more now that things are getting more open again. But also, I'm really, like I said, I love where I live, so there's a lot going on too.
All right. We love that you enjoy it here and are such a big part of the arts and entertainment community. Elisabeth Hunstad, thanks as always for being on the show.
Thank you, and thanks for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. The original friend of the show.
It's an honor.
She has that. All right. We'll be back to wrap up the show in just a moment. Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XL Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or xlchiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XL Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
From the Dipsy Doodle Studios at the world headquarters of Big D Entertainment, a 40-square-foot home studio in the middle of America, it's Dave Holly.
Thanks again for listening. Thanks for all that you do on the social media. Thanks for the shares and the likes. And as we said at the beginning of the program, a toast to you for 5,000 downloads on this show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to the wonderful guests that we had, comic Jamie Tharney, and musician, singer, and songwriter Elisabeth Hunstad. Thank you to our friends down at 9th and Phillips, that wonderful building which has Wood Grain Brewery, Agua Fresh, and Frontier Bank, and that lobby area in between the 3 of those places is just a great spot for friends to meet and have great conversations like we do here on the Dave Holly Hour. And, of course, I have a few things on the agenda for the weekend. First of all, tomorrow night, Friday night, the ruggedly handsome trivia host returns to the Sky Lounge in T for Wild Card Trivia, your chance to win some great prizes. And then a great portion of Saturday, the missus and I will be out and about taking in Jazz Crawl. Oh, fun times await. And then, speaking of jazz, a great concert Sunday night, Tab Benoit at the District. Doors will open at 6:30, and the show will get underway about 8 o'clock. That's where we'll be. Hope to run into you someplace along the line. And if we do, let's just say howdy. Remember, I'm Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by the Sky Lounge in T, XL Chiropractic, and Quality Nails. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, go to DaveHollyHour.com. At the bottom of the front page is the additional link section. Click on the orange button, Dave Holly on Linktree. You can order merchandise, become a Dave Holly Hour VIP, and make contributions to the show. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.